All right. We should be, according to my trusty friend, we should be live. I'm gonna wait a few seconds, and the moment we know, okay, we should be live. Welcome back to Supercharged Fridays. I don't even know which week we are at. I don't know, 265. Very warm welcome. If this is your first time, my name is Sonal Behel. I am a former HR director and career strategist, and I help people transitioning in their career so that the next job and the next career they have is even better than before. Lots of good work, better money, and something that makes you look forward to Monday morning. If that's your jam, consider sort of being in my world. Check out my website, superchargeyourself.com, which should have been displaying at the bottom of the screen. I have no idea why it isn't. Brand new software. We're figuring stuff out. Today is going to be very real. You're going to find out in a second. Speaking of real, I got two lovely speakers that I'm welcoming back to Supercharge Fridays. And I'm gonna get straight into it. So Jillian was back on. Jillian was on the show back in February of 2021, and at that time she was living in Las Vegas. So that was like 5 in the morning for her, and she was such a trooper. We talked about how to be confident on video. You're gonna see there's a theme here with today, and that was such a useful session. If you want to go down the rabbit hole to my YouTube channel, I recommend it's worth it. Go down, scroll, and find it. It is a classic one. And Jillian has transitioned from doing a lot of good stuff that she was doing as a video coach. She's still doing that, but now she's doing something else, which is book coach, helping authors of business books, helping people write business books. And she's the coach there and helps them to get on the Amazon bestseller list, which is amazing. Tina, my good friend Tina, lives down the road. When I say down the road, it's about 20, 30 kilometers away here in Belgium. And Tina's an international recruiter, recruits top talent pretty much all over the world. And she's been on, we've done like LinkedIn. This is actually her third time being here. And between then and now, so Jillian is now a book coach. Between then and now, Tina has written a book. And in fact, she was on the show talking about her book, which is called How to Be Found by Recruiters on LinkedIn. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Jillian and Tina, and what they've done is the coolest thing. Okay. They've gone and written a book together called Your Voice Matters, Present from the Heart. And I don't know anyone who will disagree that presenting can help your career. And if this is something you struggle with, even a little bit, today's conversation is going to be helpful. So without further ado, help me to welcome Tina and Jillian to Supercharge Fridays.
Hi, Sonal. Nice to see
Thank you for
you.
being here. Thank you for being here, both of you. So let's get started. And I also wanted to say that if you have questions, feel free to post them in the chat. We will make sure we get through every single one of them. Okay. So thank you for being here. If you're watching us, tell us where you're watching us live from. Don't be a quiet little snoopy person in the background. Your voice matters, as you're going to find out. So do let us know. So let's get started. But before I do that, Jillian, I wanted to ask you just a quick, I wouldn't even say it's tangent because it's so relevant. Like, you pivoted and you did something, you were doing something that you were enjoying, which is helping people be more confident on video and live streaming. And then the book coach thing happened. Tell us a little bit like how that came about.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me on the show and having me back again. So that's exciting. And I'm glad today I'm in Texas, so it's not 5 a.m. It's only 7 a.m. But anyways, I believe we're always transitioning. So there's no just one transition. I think we're always a work in progress. We're never totally finished. And I was happy doing my live video strategy and live stream coaching and video coaching. But then I wrote a book. And what happens when you write a book is you put yourself out there and people start to notice you. That's actually the scary part of writing a book, but it's also the great part about writing the book as well. And what I found is people were just like, wow, how did you write this book? Would you help me write this book? And I think that's how any pivot happens is that you start to do something that maybe is different for you. Maybe you're passionate about it or you just have a talent for it. And then the next thing you know, I think people recognize your newfound excitement. And it's like they jump on the train and say, hey, how do I do this? And then you just naturally start helping people. And I just naturally found I was more excited about books. I've always been a big book person. And that is what led to my pivot. So I got a foot in both worlds. I still do both things, but I'd like to actually just do more of the books. But that's how pivoting goes. You do a bit at a time.
Okay. So what you're saying is, if I'm hearing you correctly, is follow the excitement
Yes.
and the rest will figure itself out.
Exactly. It's always figure outable.
So what a theme, right? Okay, awesome. So let's get started when we talk about the voice. And so I don't think anybody is born from their mother's womb being like this amazing public speaker, right? Before we get started, I thought we'll do something fun. Oh, by the way, happy Valentine's Day to everybody watching. Hey guys, let's spread lots of love. Let's spread the love. Okay. And speaking from the heart is the closest thing. Yeah. Heart, Valentine's Day couldn't go better together. Let's get started. Tina, I want to start with you. It's not like I said, a lot of people, a lot of us, the reason we're intimidated is when we see people like you crushing it, and we make up these stories like it's easy for her, she's good at this, but nobody knows the journey. So I don't even want to talk about the journey today, Tina and Jillian. I want to talk about the worst moment in the public speaking journey, the rock bottom, and you were like, I can't do this, and then somebody helped you, maybe Jillian helped you, but talk to us talk to us about what that was and what shifted.
I think it's a great question to start with. Thank you, Sonal. Really, let's go to the rock bottom. I think when I first got the question by John Espirian to be speaking at Uplift Live in Birmingham a year ago, so all the other speakers had subjects that were more broad, and he asked me to talk about recruitment and LinkedIn Recruiter, which is something I'm very passionate about, but I'm also aware that this topic is really, really narrow and very specific, and not everyone is so excited about it. So I really, really struggled how to make the presentation interesting for the audience so that everyone could relate and also take something with them. So, and luckily I had the accountability partner, Jillian, with me, and we could figure it out. But it was really, I think, my own fear that was the biggest one that I had to conquer. I had the organizers believing in me. They wanted me to speak about it, and just to narrow the gap. That I think was the job.
So that was the opportunity and the challenge that was presented to you. Help me understand, where did you probably had voices in your head saying, are you sure, John, you want me to present? Like, was there a moment, like a rock bottom moment, that was like maybe in the past before Uplift Live, the conference, that you were like, I did the opposite of crushing it, that was horrible?
I think that the key here is really about knowing your audience, and you can't do everything for everyone. You really, here is where the talking from the heart, the passion comes from. What I think, any topic you speak about, if you show that this is something you deeply care about, people will also listen and care. But if you don't, I think that's where it goes wrong. If you want to be everything for everyone, then it can go quite wrong. And if you just keep it on a very theoretical level, if you don't share your own experiences and your own vulnerability.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Something happened. So it was very relevant what you were saying, because literally you said when you deeply care about the topic and things around you happen, like tech and Wi-Fi screwing up, like exactly like it happened here for 30 seconds. It's not distracting, right? So is that what you're saying happened with you?
Exactly. But this is before, but also when you have prepared everything, when you're ready, and when technical things happen, and we have written about it in the book as well. So if you're well prepared, if you know your subject, if you talk from your heart and not from a text that you have written by heart, then it's easy to think on your feet and get it right, like you did now with the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and no thanks to my dog here. And thank you, Tina, for sharing that. And Jillian, how about you? Rock bottom, like give it to us, give us all the drama. We wanna feel that sweat.
Okay, so I was in a public speaking contest probably about 10 years ago. And I thought in order to do this conference, in order to do this speech
Can I just
contest,
pause you, to interrupt you for a second? Are you talking
Mhm.
about Toastmasters?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. So
Okay.
this was actually prior to Toastmasters. So even going back a little bit further. So I was in a business professional women's contest. I wanted to win this award, and so I was judged, and everybody was going on and doing these speeches. And I had practiced and practiced and practiced this speech. It was a great speech, and I had all these index cards with all my notes on my index cards. So I was doing this speech and I was clicking along and I was doing well. And then all of a sudden I noticed somebody smoking in the auditorium. And my brain thought, there's a no smoking sign. Why is this woman smoking a cigarette in here? And all of a sudden I realized while I was having this whole conversation with myself in the middle of my speech, I had stopped talking. And I looked down at my note cards and I hadn't been moving them along. So I was still on note card number 1 because I had memorized my speech. And I felt sick to my stomach because I thought, I have no idea where I am. Everybody was looking at me. No words were coming out of my mouth. And I just went, I'm sorry, I was distracted. I need to start over. And they all looked at me and I started back from the beginning and started my speech again. But this time I just said whatever I thought I should say. I didn't use the note cards. I looked at everybody and I literally, instead of speaking from the script, I spoke from the heart. And afterwards, they told me that I won the contest because they said that to them was a business professional woman that would have the chutzpah to stop the contest and restart over again. And the lesson, the takeaway was, nobody knows your script. You don't have to memorize the speech. So whether you're interviewing for a job, you're giving a big presentation on a stage, or you're like me trying to win a contest, it doesn't matter. I'm not scripted here today. This is real. This is speaking from the heart, and we can all do it.
We can all do it. What a beautiful example. And I'm so irritated just listening about that smoker, because I would have had the same reaction, because I'm so judgy when and but I think there's another valuable lesson here in terms of, we said everything is figure outable. You need to be so undistractable that even the smoker, like, it's a little bit of wind and chemicals. I will get to that idiot later. But right now, I got a contest to win. So I'm going to go back and start over. I thought when you said I have to go back and start over, I thought that, you would have seen like people rolling their eyes in the audience. But what you're saying is the reason you won is because they got it. And
Yes.
whether it's like G says, hi G, whether it's a technical snafu or a mental like distraction or anything like that, you can come back from it.
Yes. And people want you to succeed. That's the thing you always should carry with you whenever you're in any situation, is that whoever is viewing you, whoever's watching you, if they're on a screen or in person in a stage, it doesn't matter. The thing is that people are cheering for you. They're not trying to sit there going, oh, she's messing up. They're just like, come on, you can do it. So don't apologize. In Toastmasters, it's the one thing they said, don't ever say, I'm sorry. Just jump into what you want to do. Command and own the stage. That is the important thing. And again, nobody knows your script. People are cheering for you. just go with it.
Okay, amazing. Just go with it. So there's a lot more where this came from, because unforeseen circumstances, you can guarantee that they will be foreseen. Like they are coming. So there's lots of examples here. Go to Amazon, whatever Amazon you have in your country, get this book, because it is written in such a way that it feels accessible. You know what I mean? It's not Michelle Obama, it's not Oprah, it's regular people like you and me talking. And I think if Tina and Jillian can do it, I think we can almost certainly do it. Okay. So, like I said, feel free to share your questions. And thank you for being with us live. I can see some questions here, which I normally would answer during like a ask me anything on Supercharge Fridays. Thank you so much for being here today, because our topic, we are on topic today. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to answer. However, when this live stream is over, can you go to the video and put them in comments, and I'll make sure. If you're on YouTube, for example, don't put them in the chat because I lose them. Put them in the comments and I'll make sure I answer them. All right, back to regular programming. Tina, let's start with you. Share with us your juiciest favorite. There's a lot in there, but your favorite two. Let's say three, because I had my lucky number 3. Let's talk about your favorite 3 tips. Maybe they're overlapping with you, Jillian, that you always come back to every time you are asked to present. And you also know that these are really common. When I say common, I mean the fear. So, your favorite tips.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's really easy to read this book, and every chapter has a sketch note. So I also use it myself when I try to remember the tips. I think when it comes to presentation, it's so important to check your energy. This is what I do also during job interviews. When there is something that you're passionate about, if you bring the right energy, especially when we are talking through video, when you're not face to face, you really need to give the energy to capture the audience. So you have to kind of step up the body language. You have to use the words so that people understand that you're really interested, that you're really motivated. And when things happen on the stage, you just go with it. Like when Jillian got to the stage, everyone was clapping and she was waving like the Queen of England. And she just went with it. She really brought the energy of a Hollywood superstar. So this is, I think, smile and wave. I think many people, when they are presenting, they really get so serious about their subject, and they think you kind of have to stay serious so that people take you seriously. But actually, when you want to connect with the audience, when you want to connect with the interviewer, you really need to smile. Otherwise, you're kind of blocking the connection.
I think another good thing about smiling is it makes us less nervous.
Yes.
Because we're feeding off, and even if we usually get good energy from the audience, but even if we're not getting, we're giving ourselves good energy, right? So you said 3 things. You said check your energy. You talked about body language, and you gave examples of body language, and then you said something about words. Step up. Give us an example of what you mean by that, Tina.
So for example, if it's a presentation during a job interview, when the company has asked to present a business case, and then you also need to sell your idea, but also say it with the words that you're interested to work for the company. Because I work with executive search, and the candidates normally already have a job, so they need to take a risk, jump to a new opportunity. And often the companies are not sure, are they really willing to make the jump? Shall we make the offer? So you have to say it with the words, I'm motivated, I'm interested, I would do this as a business plan for the next 6 months for your company. So that you really use the words, because it's difficult to read the body language if you're on the screen.
Okay. So you're saying if you're working on your energy, your words have to match
Yeah.
up with that energy. Okay, understood.
And don't assume, like, yes, I showed up on the interview, that means that I'm interested. No, you can't assume. There is always competition. You have to say out the words.
To say otherwise, I like this example because as an international recruiter, you're sticking to you're swimming in your lane. So when it comes to speaking, whether it's in an interview or whether it's on stage, the tips apply equally well.
Yeah.
So that's really good. A quick tech check before we continue because I'm not seeing comments. I have a feeling something's going on. Doesn't matter. We will continue. But I have a feeling that because I see that we're live on LinkedIn, but feel free to share what's coming up for you. If you want to underline something, um, add that in the comments. But also, what I wanted to add a quick fun thing before we continue is that Tina and Jillian, did you guys meet? Like, was it Clubhouse or was it on LinkedIn?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. So check. I'm going to say this to members of if you're in the audience right now, check the comments. If somebody's comments resonate with you, connect with that person. You never know. It might just be like 2 days you're chit chatting and then it's finished, which is fine. Or it could be that a few years later you read a book together. You never know. So pay attention to that. This is not just like a broadcast where you're listening and that's it. It's like a chat outside the water filter or the coffee machine at work, right? The only difference is it's not 3D, it's online. Doesn't matter. All right. Jillian, share with us hard earned pieces of advice that have come to you from experience. Feel free to get as granular as you want, whether they're in the book or I think they will be in the book because you've spent a lot of time putting them together, that you think are so classic and that they're not going anywhere.
Okay. So the first one has to be meeting people. So that's a really important thing. And we actually opened the book with Tina and I talking about our story about how we met. We met on LinkedIn through a fellow friend who decided to make an introduction and said, these two people need to know each other. And so he connected both of us. Stephen Quinn is the person.
Ah,
And that's how we got to know each other. And we immediately hit it off. So Stephen was right. Tina and I immediately hit it off. And we became fast and furious friends. And we decided that we needed to meet one day because Tina's in Brussels and I'm over in Las Vegas. So it's like we were worlds apart. And Tina made a dream board and put Oprah Winfrey, Brene Brown, and me on the dream board. And then, of course, when you do magic like that, it goes out into the universe. And sometimes I have to say, maybe that's why John Aspirian picked us to have us come on the show, because it was so important for us to come on and meet together. And that's where we met at Uplift Live. So that was the magic that can happen. And that is a tip that I put to everybody, is that you don't know how you should connect people. So that's what the magic of LinkedIn is that
now
you
I
can,
just wanted to say this.
there's the vision board.
I'm
There's
just
the vision board.
seeing if you can give me a sec. I'm just gonna get selfish for a sec. This is important. This is the section. This is the section that Julian is talking about. Now, somebody watching right now, you can dismiss this whole stuff as woo. You're absolutely fine to do that. It's like I don't believe in that stuff. Now listen, you may not believe in gravity, but it's still there. So the point is, hello, this stuff works. So
Exactly. And I think the magic is you don't have to worry about vision boards, but the important thing is that one person can lead you to another person. So it's like, would I ever have met Tina if Stephen hadn't decided we need to meet and he needed to connect us? And that to me is the magic, is that you don't know who you're going to meet. And you can get in an event one day like Uplift Live, where all of a sudden, all these people I knew virtually, I finally got to meet in person in one event. And it was like amazing. So that's one tip right there, whether it's to do with public speaking or making your career transition or whatever you're trying to do, meeting people and getting to know people and connecting with others. That's so important. So I'm going to just go back to the public speaking. So
hold
one
on
of,
before you do that. I want to just double click on what you said because you were introduced, and that's how it happened. I would say it's more than that, and this was in the height of the pandemic. So a lot of bad things happened in the pandemic. One good thing that happened during the pandemic was also Clubhouse.
Mm,
And Stephen got to know a lot of us through Clubhouse.
yep.
And Clubhouse, LinkedIn, So um, it's 2025. It doesn't matter. Whatever's happening around you, the point is pay attention and listen, and don't say no without, you know, don't say just a default no. Be a default yes. That sounds so cliche. But okay, sorry. Jillian, continue with regards to public speaking.
And just to close that loop up too, think globally.
Yeah.
Think globally, because
Yeah.
Stephen was living in Ireland. He
Yes.
is now in Dubai. So
Yes.
it's like worldwide connections. That is the thing. Because a lot of people, they're too narrow in their lane, and that they say, well, I only want to meet other people that live in Las Vegas. But you can actually meet somebody in England who knows somebody in Las Vegas, and then you're going to meet somebody in Las Vegas. So
Yeah.
be open to
Yeah.
global
Yeah.
connections. So that's so important. So going back to the book and the public speaking, here is my number one tip. And that is that fear, we always think, when I'm a good public speaker, I won't have fear anymore. And that is absolutely not true. I still continue to have fear. I have fear when I come on these shows. It's like fear is actually excitement. So you have to reframe it in your brain that when you have fear, it actually means you're excited, it means you're passionate, and it means that you care. You care about what you're doing. And so if you can look at something and say, that means I'm excited. Let's harness that energy and be a little bit more animated when I'm speaking. If I showed up here and I had no fear at all, I'd probably just be snoozing. I might as well have just like sent in my script, and then you guys could be reading my script off while I was like, still trying to drink my coffee or something like that. So having that ability to think about, okay, I'm excited. I'm going to bring that excitement with me, whether it's a job interview, whether you're just meeting with someone for a virtual coffee, you're meeting in a real coffee shop. Just know it's okay to be nervous. Just means you're excited.
Okay. It's okay to be nervous. Don't, a lot of people will say, do whatever you can to get rid of it. I think what you're saying is just embrace it.
Yes,
And
own it.
everyone knows, own it. But one interesting thing you said about this earlier, you said, don't mention it on stage. Hi, guys. You know what? I'm really nervous.
Yeah.
You're saying don't say this. It's interesting. I had a podcast guest. I think, Tina, you know who I'm talking about. It's a fellow Estonian lady called uh, Christina.
Christina,
Uh,
yeah.
her last name
Yeah.
is, she was married to the guy from Mind
Yeah.
Valley, the founder of
Yeah.
Mand, Christina Mand. And she said the same thing. There's no need to spell out the obvious. And you're saying the same thing, Jillian. Some people would say that it makes you it's endearing, it makes you relatable. Why do you say that there is no need to spell it out?
Because you're calling attention to something. You're calling attention to your weakness. So you need to just, and people, they might not have noticed that you were nervous. They might not, whatever. And so it doesn't ever shine nicely on you. So the thing is, don't call attention to it and just keep moving, because it actually makes your audience uncomfortable. And whenever you're giving a speech, and here's another thing, always think it's about the audience. It's not about me. If I'm thinking about me, I got my head in the wrong place. I should always be thinking about the comfort of my audience. That's why you want to make eye contact with people when you're talking, because you want every single person in that audience thinking, I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to a room full of people. I'm talking to you. And so don't ever do anything on stage that you wouldn't do in a coffee shop. If I was meeting Tina in a coffee shop for the first time, I wouldn't say, hi, I'm a little bit nervous meeting you. She'd be like, what are you doing? Don't do that in person. So don't do that on stage. And it was the first thing I learned in Toastmasters. Never apologize. Be a pro.
Golden tip. I love that tip. So I'm just going to step into the comments for a second. And as I said earlier, we're going to pay attention to questions which are related to the topic. And if you're just joining us, thank you for being here. We really appreciate. You could be doing a gazillion things with your time right now. So really, really appreciate it. And if you have questions which are not related to topic, like I said, after the live stream, post them as a comment and I'll make sure I answer them. Your words have to match your energy. Gigi, you know this, I think, better than most. Christina, another dear mutual friend of ours, is saying, how does presenting from the heart, versus the liver or the lungs, how does that impact confidence, presence, and influence? Dina, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and Christina is also my coach, and she's also mentioned in the book. She's
by the way, sorry to interrupt you. Christina is also my coach when it comes to like image and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I got to know her through Tina. If you're particularly as a woman, I think, but even men, if you need a little bit of help with like confidence and particularly like the outer image and all of that stuff, Christina is a very reliable person to contact. You can check the LinkedIn section and see her profile. Okay, Tina, sorry, you were saying.
So we went through the whole presentation and also what I would be wearing on the stage. And it's really important, the signals that you're sending when you're on a job interview. What should you wear? You should really reflect the audience and know who would be the client. Like, it's always better to come overdressed than underdressed. And really you signal confidence with the clothes you're wearing and how you wear them. And we had this question about pockets. Women's wear never has any pockets, and you need a pocket for the microphone to be on the stage. So we really went into detail what would be practical and also appropriate for the event. So I think your confidence comes also from knowing that you will not stumble on the stage because you're wearing too high heels, for example, but you still want to have a nice posture. So it's all about thinking it through and knowing what is your brand and what do you want to communicate and influence.
Okay, amazing. Thank you, Tina. And Jillian, anything to add here?
I would think just self-care is important whenever you're talking and whenever you're doing, whether you're doing a presentation in a boardroom, on a stage, or just showing up at a Zoom meeting or interview. And I think that having confidence means having some time before you start to ground yourself. And I don't mean this in a woo-woo way. I mean this in sometimes we have, especially if you're an introvert, you have to have those moments where you get quiet before you can give your best. So you have to make sure your battery's charged, just like a phone. You don't use your phone when it's on 5%. It's the same with whenever you're giving a presentation. Make sure your battery's charged. Find ways to have some time. Before anything I do, I always have 5 or 10 minutes where I take a deep breath. I visualize what I want the outcome to be of whatever I'm trying to do. I envision myself on the other side of that. Those are important. I like to have quiet time, get rest, have water. These things they sound trivial, but they're actually important to your confidence because you must take care of yourself first. Because, it's like being on a plane. Your own oxygen before your child. It's the same with any kind of speaking. Same thing. Take care of yourself first.
Yeah. And it sounds trivial, but if it were easy, everyone would be doing it. Everyone would be drinking water. Everyone would be grounding themselves. It doesn't work that way because in that heat of the moment, we get caught up, right? Amazing. So I see that we're over time, but I'm still going to, for the people who are showing up, thank you for being here. I'm going to make sure we go through your questions. Anna Maria has a very interesting, hi, Anna Maria. Is there a difference in culture to be considered when, showing confidence? Because sometimes it can also be perceived as overconfidence, right? But anything to share here, Tina?
Yeah, there is a big difference. I think I think Europeans have one style and Americans have a different style, especially the ones who come from New York. So And often I see it with women when they are talking about their language skills. They are so shy. They say, I barely speak like a word in, I don't know, in French or in German. And then when I speak to them in that language, they are fluent. But of course, they have an accent. And everyone has an accent. But I think women are always less confident when it comes to their language knowledge compared to men who exaggerate their language knowledge on CVs, on resumes. But in general, I think you really have to read the room and adapt where you are. So it's, you want to build a connection. You don't want to broadcast. You want to have a conversation.
Yeah, I think that there's lots of overlaps here with what you're saying across cultures, frankly speaking to me. And, it doesn't matter that English is not your mother tongue. Tina, English is not your mother tongue. You speak 8 other languages, right? And I know that, you've also attended workshops and you've done like paid programs, and people will say, speak fluently, remove the ums and the ahs. And I'm like, I don't know, because then it's not sounding human. It sounds a bit more AI, because we all have a few filler words here and there. Um, but that's a different topic. And as long as they don't overpower, but culturally, I think it only impacts as much as you let it. Jillian, anything to add here?
Probably just the universal thing that ties in all the cultures is, I believe, storytelling.
Hmm.
And so bringing that to any time that you are on stage, on camera, whatever, I think that's important. And you can prepare that. Know in advance. Like, I'm now like I have a storyteller's brain. So at any moment I can just like drop in any story from my past and they just come to me. But that's not natural for a lot of people. A lot of people have to work at storytelling, and it's not, again, a skill you're born with. It's something that you can learn. There's books that you can help you and all sorts of different things. And so if you're ever going to be in an environment where you're giving a speech or you're even just doing an interview, jot down some stories that are appropriate for the topic, because when we naturally start doing storytelling, we're very comfortable. We make a point. It makes your talk sticky, because people will remember stories. It can take something very, very dry in a presentation, and now all of a sudden people are like excited, and we share stories. Oh, I heard this story about such and such. You'll tell it to somebody else. And then when you tell a story, you make a point. So to me, storytelling is in every culture. We always use it wherever we go. Embrace it and learn how to do it better.
Yeah. And I think just to add to that and summarize that, what you said, Jillian, is, remember, Anna Maria, this applies to all of us. It doesn't matter how many people are in your audience. You're talking to one person. And it's the same thing for YouTube videos. I can't stand it anymore. I don't think people do this anymore, but still, like the channel starts, "Hi guys, welcome back to my channel." I'm like, no crowd is watching you. It's one person probably on their toilet seat watching you on on their phone. So it's not guys. It's like one person. So you want to relate with that person. Sorry, that was a bit crass. One more question, and also shout out to G for the comment on global connections, Texas to Israel. It doesn't get any more real than this. So G, thank you so much. Gigi, thank you for being here. And Varsha has a very interesting point that, and I see this as well. A very good question, Varsha. And I see this with at the time of interviews, right? When someone is feeling a bit nervous, the speed, the number of words per minute shoots up. Jillian, any tips on how to manage this?
Pause, learn to speak slow, and you have to practice. That's one thing Tina and I talk about in the book. We didn't just make a presentation and show up at this event. We actually practice. We practice solo. We practice together. We did Zoom sessions. You do your presentation and I'll give you feedback, and then I'll do mine. We did these in separate sessions because practice doesn't make perfect. It makes progress and you get better. And so having somebody say to you, slow down, but you need to know your timing. So you have to practice. How can I do it within 30 minutes? Because maybe sometimes you can't go over, like a TED Talk. You go over too long and they got that big cane and pull you off the stage. So knowing to pause perfectly, pause with purpose is so important. And so practicing that and write those pauses into your notes so you pause for effect.
Yeah, and I think a very good example of this as well, not 100% related, but is also the at the Academy Awards, at the Oscar Awards, where
Mm.
people are, they have this acceptance speech. I think every single person in the world, when you're told to speak about something, whether it's in an interview, whether it's on stage, the biggest stage in the world, which is the Oscars, I think all of us know about the time factor. We all know it's not unlimited, right? So even if you're like best actress, you're normally told there is a limit of 3 or 4 minutes, and then they play the music, and they're like, "Hey, it doesn't matter if you're Meryl Streep, get the heck out of the stage." So you don't want to be like, "Oh shucks, I'm making my presentation, and I'm still only at point number 2, but I have 3 more points to go, and I have 2 minutes," and you're going to be like, "Yes, you will rush through it," but what you're saying, what is really important here, Jillian, is also it's not just pause, Varsha, but remember to pause, because in that moment we don't remember to remember. We need to
Like,
remember what you're saying. So I think this live stream is worth watching twice. And for all of us, a lot of us, I learn a lot the second time when I read something. It doesn't register the first time. Maybe you're distracted and you're not quite ready to get the message. The second time you read it, you get the message. If you haven't ordered already while listening to us, I mean, what are you doing? Like, get the digital copy. It's like a couple of euros, right? Or get the physical. If you're like me, get the physical copy. Your voice matters, right? Present from the heart. So before we go, okay, because we've covered a lot, and I do want to respect your time. Any last words that we either haven't covered, or you're like, something that you want to share?
I think what is important is to have your message clear. What do you want to share? It's like you were saying during the Oscars, you have the specific time frame when you can speak. The same when you're at the job interview. Hiring managers don't have the whole day to listen to your answer. Just be focused. Like, you can't do fluff. They don't have all day to wait for your answer to get to the point. You need to know what you want to deliver, and you need to communicate it in the most efficient way. I'm not saying you have to say it in the most academic way, but really in a language that other people will understand. So using shorter sentences, using simpler words, just to get the message across. You don't have to show off with your complicated words. It's a different ball game. Don't compete there. Be human.
Be human and be very clear what your message is going to be. What do you want people to remember
Yeah.
when they have got up and left and gone home? Okay, that's very good. Thank you, Tina. And Jillian, how about you?
I would just say that recognizing that every time you talk with somebody, that it's a gift, and you want to give a gift to that person. You want them to walk away and just feel better for having known you. And an audience of one is the most important thing. It's never, being in a situation where it's like, oh, there was only one person there. No, we want to connect with one person at a time. And that's how you actually, to me, that's how you build your brand, is by connecting with one person at a time, and be consistent in who you are and where you show up, so that you're always the same person across all platforms. Whatever you do on, say, for instance, LinkedIn, YouTube, you want it to be the same. You want to have the same look, the same friendly manner. Those things are important. So consistency in your personal brand, it's so important.
Yeah, I think that's one of the first things, Tina, that you told me last year when you met Jillian in person, and you were like, she's exactly like she's on LinkedIn. And I think that's the biggest compliment. I think for every one of us, presenting personal brand, all of this stuff is, interlaced together. So amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope this has been helpful to every person in the audience. Feel free to share this with friends of yours. Don't keep this to yourself. And Jillian and Tina, thank you so much for being here. This was such a treat. And Jillian, hope to have you back, and not like 4 years later in 2029. Oh gosh, that sounds scary, but hopefully much, much sooner than that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.